Hi, I'm Dr. Mike Searcy. In this video, we want to talk about communication, words, and correspondence with your professor. Words have a very large effect on our own physiology. Think about that for a moment. Somebody gives you a compliment as you're walking down the hall, and perhaps you weren't feeling very good about yourself, but all of a sudden, that compliment makes you feel very good, and you kind of feel the endorphins flowing, and a smile comes on your face, and your whole attitude and your whole mood perhaps elevates itself, and you're feeling much, much happier. Words can affect your physiology. Of course, we know the alternative is true also. When someone, you might be feeling very great about yourself, you're walking down the hall, you're going somewhere, and somebody says something that's not so nice to you, insults you. Because of that insult, you can perhaps feel the poison, the adrenaline, the bile in your system just kind of going grrr and grinding, and you're feeling pretty horrible, and you're sick to your stomach. Words can have a detrimental effect as well. We know that words affect our physiology. We know that words can also affect our mental state. If words can affect our physiology, think about this. For every public speaking student who prepares to give a speech, and prior to giving that speech says to themselves, "Don't be nervous, don't be nervous, don't be nervous, don't be nervous," what do you think happens? I'll give you a secret. The mind will process action far more quickly than it will process negation. The mind will process action far more quickly than it will process negation. So the mind will process, be nervous, be nervous, be nervous, far more quickly than it will process negation, don't. So when you say to yourself, don't be nervous, you're actually instructing yourself more quickly to be nervous than you are to not be nervous. If you think that's not powerful, just think about this for a moment. If I told you that you can do anything you want in the next 5 minutes, just don't think of an apple. If you're like most of my students, something that represented apple just flashed through your mind. Whether it was a red, green, or yellow piece of fruit, whether it was a pie, a computer, or a baseball game, something that sort of represented apple just flew through your mind. But I told you to don't think of an apple. The mind will process action, think of an apple, far more quickly than it will process negation, don't. That's important for us to think about those words as you start thinking about the professional protocol of email and correspondence with your professors. And that's what I want to talk about more so today. When you send an email, the words you use and how you craft them represent you. Are you giving the right impression to your professor when you send an email? All too often, I think that we forget that email is approached like instant messages, Snapchat, texting. This isn't good. Because the environment that you're trying to create is a very informal one in a formal environment, and your professor isn't here to be your Snapchat friend. And so one of the things that we have to recognize is when you are dealing with email, especially to your professor, this is formal conversation with a professional who is trying to craft your behavior and habits into habits that will work in a professional environment when you go get a job, if you're looking for a change in career. What kind of impression do you want to give your employer? It starts now. So, when we start looking at email, a clear subject line is first and foremost. H-E-E-E-E-E, L-L-L-L-L, P-P-P-P-P, exclamation point 5 or 6 times. Help isn't going to send the right message. Having trouble with assignment 6. Much more clear, much more pronounced, and your professor now knows exactly what he or she is going to be looking at. Clear subject line. Number 2, use a salutation. Dear Professor. Now, depending upon their gender, their rank, their title, and their position. Dear Professor Smith, dear Dr. Mike. How that person wants to be addressed, you may not know, but you should have found out probably somewhere in the beginning of your course. If you don't know for sure, professor and last name is a safe bet, especially when we're talking about college professors. Using entrances to an email such as, hey, yo, or I've even had some emails sent to me that started off with the letters S-U-P, which I assume means sup. Not the right impression. If you're hoping to make good impressions, you're going to actually address your professor in a formal way, as is the email is set up this way. Here in the United States, the language of education is English. You wouldn't have made it this far. You wouldn't be in a college class if you hadn't already proven at some place, some level, your competency with the English language. It's a fact. College level English is required in college level classes. That includes things like spelling. How about taking your presentation to Word or a word processing program, writing it out, and then having it have that help you with your spelling. But remember, you've got to look at it yourself, because the wrong word spelled correctly is the right word misspelled. I'll say that again. The wrong word spelled correctly is the right word misspelled. You're responsible for the words you use. Choose wisely. So, spelling, grammar, punctuation. We know these things. Complete words, correct spelling, shows you are worthy of the college class in which you're enrolled. IDK, OMG, LOL may be acceptable lingo for your friends, but not to the individual who is charged with evaluating your critical thinking abilities and responsible level competency. So be part of your own solution is the next step. Be part of your own solution. When you approach your emails, be accountable and be responsible. So before you email, look it up. Is your question answered in the syllabus? Is it answered in the announcements that you've received for the class? How about the handouts? Because when you're sending emails that show that you're not willing to do the initial legwork, it gives your professor the impression that you're not really serious about your studies. You're not resourceful and potentially not competent. So look it up. Be part of your own solution. Start your email with, I have looked through, and then what have you looked through? The book, the syllabus, the handouts, the announcements? I'm still unclear about. What exactly are you unclear about? Phrase your questions so that your professor can answer them very concretely and he knows what really you're looking for, rather than having to go back 6 or 7 times with emails before you even get to what you want. The clearer you are in your questioning, the more clear your professor can be in his or her response. How about offering a solution? What do you think it means? Does this mean that I should follow this action? It shows that you're at least attempting and trying and being responsible for trying to figure out what was given to you. College is here to assist you in learning how to learn, developing marketable expertise, and navigating professional adult workplaces where you are able to build careers and lives. So for you to suggest, well, that professors just need to know how I communicate. Yeah, we get it. We have friends too, and maybe we don't always do the formal communication when we're sending our emails to friends. Student and professor relationships are often set to model and begin the employee-employer relationship. You need to think about it that way. So think about the modeling of those communication skills aimed at creating good impressions and responsible college-level competency with the way you deal with your emails. And take responsibility, plan ahead, and be professional. Finally, sign your email. A little kindness goes a long way. Sincerely, all the best, cordially, respectfully. Sign your email. And then make sure that you sign with your name and the specific class that you're in so the professor doesn't have to guess. Following these steps will actually create great impressions between you and your professor, and you'll probably have a much better semester as a result. Just a couple of hints from Dr. Mike. Ask me questions as you go. I'll see you in the next video.